What's up, guys? Can't Flip for Ship here. Got the new Source V out today, and man, this thing is flipping away, and I've really been enjoying it. So for those of you that don't know, or really no one will know because I haven't said anything, but I made a video with this, and I just recently acquired this balisong. It's called the Source V. Oh shit. It's called the Source V, and it's super cool. It feels really flowy. It's by a brand called Origin, and that's basically like all I know about it because it's kind of mysterious. It's been kind of a mysterious of a balisong. I'm over here spamming the same tricks over and over again. Really, that's what it is whenever you make a balisong video. A lot of people, not a lot of people really can be doing a lot of like intricate flipping while recording because it's just really difficult to think and be flipping and doing all these combos at the same time. But anyways, to not get too off topic, but yeah, so this is that balisong. It's made by a company called Origin, and they're super small. I picked this up on Reddit. This is a false edge. As you can see, it's a pretty thick edge actually. But yeah, I guess there was only 100 of these made. As you can see, it says 45 out of 100. And, it just goes to show, like, I know like a lot of the time, there's like all these new makers and stuff like that. And it's really easy to like feel like you don't really want to try out a lot of, new makers sometimes whenever there's like reliable. Oh, the wind is really trolling right now. You really don't want to try out a lot of new makers whenever there is so much good stuff out there that's reliably made. But it just goes to show that sometimes it's worth it to just see, what a brand has to offer. Because like if I would have never tried this thing out, I would have just assumed that it was bad. But it's genuinely really good. Like I've been enjoying it. And I think, a lot of people would probably feel the same way if they flipped this, but they just would never know because most people would not give something like this a chance, or like a lot of the these snobby collectors. But this is a balisong that has like thoroughly impressed me, and there's nothing too insane about it. Like price wise, it's pretty cheap, but it's made by a Chinese company, and I know a lot of people think that like Chinese company just automatically equals like clone. But it's not a clone. It's an original design, and they've really come like a really long way in terms of like their design capacity to make things that are well balanced, that are well made. I mean, obviously, we know that like clones have been improving in quality as time's been going on, but even non-clones have been improving in quality, and it just it really just amazes me because when I first, kind of started, there were some pretty good non-clone options and some pretty good clone options. But typically, like if you wanted a good product, you'd go and you'd get yourself a real authentic balisong. Look at my fucking toe sticking out of my sock. You would go and find yourself an authentic balisong, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it as much because, that was what the vibe was. Like, if you want something good, then you have to be able to pay and really, get the good thing. Like that's just how it goes, But, now you can really get an amazing balisong for pretty cheap, and from a company that you don't even really know because the blueprint's been laid out so much, People have, laid the foundation to say what's good and what's not. And so for that reason, everything is pretty good now. Because, guys like Lucas and, all of them, they've kind of set the pace for what's good now. And so, people model things after the Kraken. People model things after, the Rep. People model things after the things that have already been made just because it's just easier to do it that way. And now that it's been done, you know what I'm saying? Then it's done, That's like the dumbest sentence ever. Now that it's done, it's done. But it's true, once whenever things are first done, it really is a monumental thing. And then like after that, like everything seems, obvious in hindsight. But, nobody knew what was the right way to make a balisong until somebody did. And now this is a great example of like how far things have progressed. And you know, I know I'm like getting on my soapbox. I'm not trying to act like I'm fucking some kind of wise guy, but I'm just kind of telling you my thoughts that I thought about when I flipped this thing, because this is genuinely like an amazing flipper. And you know, I'm no stranger to, you know, just being honest if something is not enjoyable to flip for me. You know, you guys know that. So it was just interesting how, you know, as I've been talking about like what I like and what I don't like, I've noticed that, like, you know, it seems like even now companies that are like nobody companies are producing balisongs that are better than some of the best companies, right? I mean, you know, you look at the EPS 101, and it fucking blows compared to this. This thing is like flying and zooming and just doing all kinds of great things. The EPS 101 blows. The Squid Industries Hydro, it doesn't blow, but like it's not as good as this in terms of flipping ability, in terms of, you know, this thing even has a little bit of, I would say, a little bit more character than some of those balisongs, right? Like the design is interesting, a little bit goofy, but it's cool in its own way. And you start to ask yourself, you're like, you know, how hard is it for these makers to take a risk, you know? And when you have a chance to take a risk as like a new balisong maker, it's an interesting thing, right? Because you're in a great position that a lot of people were not in, because there's no pressure, right? When you're a big company, they push you under a microscope and there's a lot of pressure to perform. When you're a smaller company, you know, it's just like whatever, you know, you can do whatever you want, because, you know, there's no, you know, if you fail, you fail, right? And I think like it's interesting to see like these companies like Thomas Balisong, where, you know, they had the buy call and all that stuff, right? But recently they have the refault, which was, you know, extremely successful. And then when you have something like that, you know, it's like, okay, now I just chaplained on the pie handle. Anyways, it's like, okay, now, you know, the expectations are different about, I cannot do that trick. Like there's a certain trick I do where like I'll go like this and then I go like one over. Oops, I can't do it with this balisong. It's kind of like a weird thing. Must be a balance thing. But anyways, so yeah, so I kind of lost track of my train of thought. But like, you know, anyways, there's a certain expectation that's built that limits you, is basically like the point that I was trying to get at. And so yeah, that's basically all I was really saying in a nutshell. Oops. But yeah. So those are the kind of thoughts that came into my head. This balisong is one of those ones where it's a really great balisong. I didn't expect that I would keep it. I just want to try it out. But I might end up keeping this thing just because it's been so enjoyable to flip. But we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, it's interesting how, you know, if you're a thinker, you know, these are the kind of things that can really spark your mind and get you thinking about what's, what kind of history lies and what kind of things are. My flipping's getting terrible by the second. But what kind of history lies behind the things that you're flipping, and what, oh my God, what you can learn from a balisong. So, you know what really it is my hand is getting tired. I work with my hands a lot, so, you know, the more the later on in the day I get with the flipping, and this is heavy. That's another thing too about this balisong, it's extremely heavy. So, I mean, it's not extremely heavy, but like for an aluminum balisong, you're like, wow, it's kind of heavy. So yeah, and this extended flipping session has kind of made it harder to flip, but this video is longer than I thought it was going to be. I'm kind of just ranting, but that's kind of like me talking about this balisong and what it made me think about, because it's a very interesting situation. So that's all I really have, guys. If you got anything that you know to add to the conversation, or just to kind of talk the philosophy of balisongs for a little bit, drop it in the comments. I'm always down to hear what you guys have to say. But if not, then if you guys don't have anything to say, then I guess we'll have to say goodbye here. And I guess that'll be that, right? So how about an aerial under my leg? Fuck. Round 2. Okay, whatever. Fuck you. Rock on.